This car was so over-engineered, it sold for less than it cost to build, and it helped send the company straight into bankruptcy. And it's not the only one. Today, we're talking about cars that are so ambitious, so risky, and in some cases so downright insane, they destroyed the companies that built them. It all starts with a machine that dared to take on the entire auto industry and lost. The Tucker 48 was Preston Tucker's dream car. Rear-mounted helicopter engine, 3 headlights including a center light that turned with the steering, and safety features nobody had ever seen before. It was decades ahead of its time, and that was the problem. To fund it, Tucker sold accessories before the cars existed, a move that drew the attention of the SEC. Political pressure and legal battles crushed the company after only 51 cars were built. Those cars are worth millions today, but Tucker's dream ended before it ever really began. Ambition like that was rare, until a certain stainless steel wedge tried the same stunt decades later. The DeLorean DMC-12. This looked like the future. Gull-wing doors, stainless steel panels, and a Lotus chassis. But under the shiny skin, an underpowered V6 and quality issues everywhere. Sales stumbled, and John DeLorean got caught up in an FBI sting involving cocaine smuggling, allegedly to save the company. Whether he was set up or not didn't matter. The brand collapsed after fewer than 9,000 cars. Hollywood may have made it a legend, but the business was gone in a flash. The DeLorean's collapse was dramatic, but this car quietly sank under its own engineering. The Bugatti EB 110. You might be surprised to see Bugatti on this list. You'd think Bugatti made so much money that finances wouldn't be a struggle for them. But in this case, it absolutely was. Before I explain why, I want to quickly ask you to race to that subscribe button as we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Maybe I'll be able to buy a Bugatti by then, but going back to the EB 110, this was pure excess. Quad-turbo V12, carbon fiber monocoque, and all-wheel drive at a time when it was still exotic. It was built to bring Bugatti back from the dead in the early 90s. But instead, it helped slay it again. The recession hit, supercar buyers vanished, and Bugatti went bankrupt in just a few years. Only around 130 were ever made. Today, they're collector's gold. But back then, they were financial anchors. If losing millions on a hypercar hurts, imagine going broke on a budget hatchback. That's exactly what happened with the Rover City Rover. Instead, it was a rebadged Tata Indica from India, priced like a premium European hatch. It was outdated, poorly built, and nowhere near worth what Rover was asking. Buyers ignored it, sales crashed, and by 2005, MG Rover went under completely. The City Rover didn't just fail, it became the punchline for a century-old company's final joke. Sometimes the problem isn't bad quality, it's building something so good that your own badge can't sell it. That was the case with the Volkswagen Phaeton. This was a luxury sedan disguised as a VW. It could cruise at 186 to 250 miles per hour in desert heat while keeping the cabin icy cold, had insane attention to detail, and matched Mercedes for comfort. But the price tag scared buyers. They didn't want to pay that much for a VW logo. Volkswagen lost hundreds of millions before quietly ending it. Today, enthusiasts call it over-engineered brilliance. Back then, it was a luxury money pit. And while that was too luxurious for its brand, the next machine was so extreme it felt like it came from another planet. The Vector W8. This looked like a jet fighter with wheels. Twin-turbo V8 pushing over 600 horsepower, handmade body, and promises to destroy Ferrari and Lamborghini. But delays, mechanical gremlins, and lawsuits stalled production. Only 17 cars were built before the company ran out of money. Its creator lost control, and the W8 became one of America's most ambitious flops. That was one dream car, but this company tried to chase two dreams at the same time. The ISO Rivolta. The Italian maker of beautiful GTs decided to release the ISO Lele in the 1970s, just as the oil crisis hit. Costs spiraled when their engine supplier Ford hiked prices, forcing them to re-engineer the car for GM V8 second. It drained resources, and sales collapsed. By 1974, ISO was bankrupt. The Lele was rare, fast, and stylish, but it arrived at the worst possible time. Some companies fade quietly. Others crash out with the loudest, wildest car they've ever made. the TVR Cigaris. This looked like it escaped from a video game. Insane vents, wild curves, and a naturally aspirated straight six with no traction control. It was thrilling and expensive to hand build. Under its new ownership, TVR bled cash, and by 2006, production stopped. The Cigaris became an instant classic, and TVR's swan song for years. If that was chaotic, this next one was chaos multiplied by 16 cylinders. The Cesena Marauder V16T. This was basically two Lamborghini V8 second bolted together, mounted transversely behind the driver. The engineering was insane, the styling pure Italian drama, and the price tag over $300,000 in the early 90s. Only a handful were built before debts crushed the company. The V16T became a unicorn, but its creators didn't survive long enough to see it appreciated. Even Lamborghini isn't immune to building a machine that nearly broke them. The LM002. This was Lamborghini's answer to a military contract that never happened. So they stuffed a Countach V12 into a massive off-road truck and sold it to wealthy civilians. It guzzled fuel, cost a fortune to build, and sold only about 300 units. Combined with slow sports car sales, it pushed Lamborghini into a deeper financial hole, leading to a buyout by Chrysler in 1987. The LM002 is now a legend, but back then, it was a liability. Where Lamborghini went too big, this next car went too complex. The Citroën SM. This was one of the most advanced GT cars of the 1970s. Hydro-pneumatic suspension, Maserati V6, futuristic styling. It was gorgeous, comfortable, and expensive to build. When the oil crisis hit, buyers vanished, and its maintenance complexity scared away the rest. Citroën's finances tanked so badly that the French government forced it to merge with Peugeot. The SM became a legend, at the cost of Citroën's independence. If that was the end of a company's freedom, this next car took down an entire country's car industry. Enter the Bricklin SV1. This was Canada's attempt at a safe sports car. Gull-wing doors, crash bumpers, and bright safety-first colors. But production quality was terrible, the doors barely worked, and costs exploded. Funded heavily by the government of New Brunswick, the project drained millions in taxpayer money before collapsing in 1976. The SV1 is now a collector's oddity and a cautionary tale. And now for the one I teased at the start. The car so costly that every single one sold was a loss. It's the Bugatti Veyron, the ultimate example of engineering brilliance meeting financial disaster. Yes, Bugatti is once again on this list. If this doesn't show you how even the biggest brands can make seriously costly mistakes, then I don't know what will. Ferdinand Piëch envisioned a car that shattered every limit. Over 1,000 horsepower, a top speed above 250 miles per hour, and the comfort and refinement of a Rolls-Royce. It wasn't just fast, it was a technological statement to the world that Volkswagen could build the most advanced car ever made. But perfection came at a cost. Each Veyron reportedly sold for millions less than it cost to produce. Profit was never the goal. It was about rewriting automotive history. Financially, a nightmare. Technologically, absolutely unmatched. And now every single one of you knows what a Bugatti looks like, and you know they are not to be messed around with. But there's a few cars that have been out there for decades and are basically untouched since their creation. Machines so good, they got it right from the start. So good, in fact, you can still buy them today, brand new. I made a full video on this, and you can watch it right now by clicking on screen. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, as we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers.